Welcome
Welcome to Shade
to
and the
in the
City.
city.
I'm your girl Treese,
It's Nels.
and today we are here to do our recap of the family or fiance. This is Britne and Jide is what I got.
hmm A
Okay,
Valentine Day momsicle.
I don't know where she finds these things. Anyway,
That's
uh,
how they do old school.
but yeah, y'all. Yes. So I'm unfortunately not feeling my best, and I did not want to come up on this camera looking crazy because I feel like I look crazy because I feel crazy. And it's probably just all in my head. But I'm gonna spare you guys the long story. And yeah. So I will be talking behind the scenes today. But yeah, I appreciate y'all being here. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit that like button.
And that subscribe button.
And y'all, let's jump right into it and let's get shady. We meet Britne and Jade. They met on a double date while they were out with friends. Britne is questioning how things are going to go with his mom. Apparently, Jade is Nigerian. Um, uh, they
And
decided to, huh?
a mama's boy.
And he's a mama's boy. We also learned that Britne moved in with him, who was living with his mother. And so, she said that she is looking forward to having him spend some more time with her family. And she admits that her family has concerns about Jade being a mama's boy. And basically, can he put you first in front of his mama? Is the concern. Okay. So then they get to the mansion, they meet Tracy, and then they sit down for their first session. They have been engaged for a year and are supposed to marry in 4 months. So this is another one where they get going down the aisle regardless at this point and
hmm
spending that type of money. So Tracy asked his thoughts when he met Britne 3 years ago, and he said that he felt he struck gold. He said
I
he's always
said, you better.
right. I love the way he lifts her up and speaks to I do. I really did like him.
hmm
He admits that okay, so Tracy's like, why are you so interested in getting married at such a young age? And he admits that it has a lot to do with his Nigerian culture, and they're very big on family. Um and they do admit that there was a culture clash when they first got together because of the living with his mother. But he said that his mom is a little bit different because she's a little bit more modern. Don't really seem like that once we get into it, but that's what he claimed. So, and then he shares with us about his mom raising him alone, and she opened up a restaurant to support them because his dad apparently has been absentee most of his life. I don't even think he's met his dad or,
He said he had to. No, he said he did a few times. He said he
oh,
had to go back to Nigeria.
mm,
He didn't tell you
um,
about
right. I'm like, not Simon being your daddy. So he said that, you know, basically he and his mother are each other's everything. And so, that can cause some issues at times. And so Britne speaks up and says that their first Valentine's at their place when they had decided to move out, she came over and he didn't stop her. Okay. They had dinner. And then after having dinner, she chastised Britne for having her son pick up the plates instead of her doing it. Um, and so Tracy explains that, in that moment, Britne probably felt as if the mother was the primary
it.
point of concern. And then we learned that Britne has lost her parents, both her parents, before she was 11. She never got to know her mother. And it sounds like, yeah, she said there was some physical by her father. And then he ended up being in an accident and he didn't survive it. So her uncle, um, well, no, so her and her brother were raised by her grandparents, but apparently her uncle played a major part as well. So Tracy tells her that she's going to have to work through that grief for the rest of her life, but learn to carry it in a different way. And then we learned that Britne has invited her grandma Judy, her uncle Aaron, and her brother, whom she hasn't seen in 10 years, I think it was, Jeremy. And apparently they have different mamas.
They're
And saying
7 months apart.
right, yeah, because they're 7 months apart.
Mhm.
We are, and then we learned that
Clock it, boo. She said, "Oh, that mean that they got different mamas." It
right.
was the same time. I said, "Clock it."
And then apparently this is a common thing because Jide has invited his mom, Veronica, his uncle Godwin, and then
Hmm.
his sister, who he's never met, Buki. And I was like,
And there's only an 8 month difference there.
between them. Right. And I was a little confused because I was like, and this is no shade, and I think that they definitely should have met. I just didn't know why this was the platform to do it because she was so new to the situation. She doesn't really know anybody. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Well, she said she wants to be a part of the
No,
family.
and you can be. I just don't know if it needs this capacity.
Girl, it was, listen, it was a free trip. If I
That's what
look,
it was.
if I can't meet you when we got to pay for it, look, let's get these people to pay for it.
Look, or
Maybe
maybe he needed somebody. He was like, you new to the situation, so you better give me your blessing. So um Tracy gives Britne the task of the cake and the questions where they, eat the cake. It always involves some questions.
ask the questions.
Right. And Jade has to do I forgot what he had to do again.
5 categories.
Oh, most important. And he has to put the 5 most important things in, but then put them in order and answer some questions because it's always going to involve a question. All right. And so Tracy is like, well, how important is the blessing to you guys if you don't get it? And he's basically said that, or actually they both say in agreement that they wouldn't get married if they didn't get it.
But I think she said it just because he said it.
I agree.
So then the family arrived. Everybody's excited. Buki said she's communicated with her brother, but she's never met him. And she started to call his mom, Aunt Veronica, and she said, "No, boo, you call me mom." And I'm assuming it's just from the same dad and whatever. Right. Then we also meet Britne's brother Jeremy, who she hasn't seen in forever. And from what the uncle said, it sounds like they were raised together, but he said that Britne was a little fiery, so it's given Britne maybe left or something. I was a little bit confused about that. But anyways, at the family meeting, they were to address their concerns. Jeremy said that it's been touch and go over the past few years, and he's hoping that'll change. Also, he's concerned about the cultural differences. Judy told her that she always puts others before her, and she wants her to put herself first once in a while.
I agree with that. A lot of this episode was her doing that, being more concerned.
Absolutely. Her Uncle Pooh basically said, "Stop being." So, he wants him to stop being so much of a mama's boy, because when you get married, your wife is your priority.
Right.
His sister Buki said her concern is being accepted as his sister, while his uncle said his concern is his mom. She's grown up to have control, and he hopes that that dominant figure doesn't affect this relationship. He also said he hopes that the negativity from his father won't affect, his nuclear family. And his mom said that her concern is that Britney's too sensitive. So for Jade's most important task, he put God at the top. He said his fiance, his mom, money, and then his social life, which, looks good on the board, but
does he really do it though?
Is it true? His first question was, there was visual concern on Veronica's face when the question of her letting you go, how will you deal with that? He said being his mom's only child is tough, and he's actually letting his mom and Britne form a very close relationship. Uncle Pooh told him that he's going to have to be able to keep her out of, their business, basically. And, because if he ever puts his mom first, it's going to cause problems at home. Now, uh, this question was from Jeremy, and he wanted to know what Jide knew about him. I said, it's all about you, huh, Jeremy? It's all
Mm-hmm.
about, he said, look, she been talking about me. She been telling you
Right.
about me. And he said all the stories that he's heard about him. She's always had a great connection with you. Jeremy said, he remembers her being so sweet, and that's who he connected with the most out of all the family. So Jade asked Uncle Pooh about what's going on with the family and the abuse, and he said he doesn't know. When he heard it, he really just couldn't believe it. Brittany's first question was from his mother, and she asked if she's welcome in her home. And she said, yes, mommy. Okay. She said she's open and she loves hosting, but notice would be great.
And I
Thanks.
love how I love, and maybe that's something that she was taught, or maybe that's just who she is as a person. But I do love the fact that even though this may not be her culture, she's so respectful
She's very respectful.
to
And
this woman.
even outside of the culture, just her as a person, she's very also soft spoken. She's like,
Right.
notice would be wonderful. Okay, all right. And that's not his mama at all. So
Right.
his mom said that he has a fear because of what she's heard and what she's seen. So she brings up the Britne brings up the Valentine's Day event, incident actually, and she calls it the Valentine episode. She explains that she wasn't aware she was supposed to take her plate, and his mom explained that in Nigerian culture, if she doesn't take her plate, then she would have felt like she's not respected as a mother-in-law. Her next question was, how do you feel about meeting your brother after so many years? And she answered it by saying, she just felt overwhelmed. She's happy and grateful. And then the next question was, do you think,
I was confused by that. Were you?
I didn't know what she was supposed to say. Like,
Well, no, because it made it seem as if Jeremy says that, oh, we've always had, or, a decent relationship and da da da. And then they say, well, how does it feel to first meet your brother? And I was like, but I don't think this is our first meeting. I don't know. I maybe I'm the only one that caught it.
so that's why I said in the beginning, I was also confused about that because it sounded like they were raised together, because she said that when the dad passed, they were both raised by their grandparents.
Right.
But then they hadn't seen each other in 10 years. So, and then I know the uncle said that she was fiery. So I thought maybe she got kicked out. I don't know what, or she left home. Who knows? I don't know
Right.
what happened. So then the next question was, do you think Jude's relationship with his father is going to impact the relationship with with your kids in the future? And she said, yeah. She thinks that, he still has some pain there, and she really wants him to heal from it. Um, then it's
She gets the question about being too sensitive.
yes. The question was, your uncle and Jude's mom are concerned about your sensitivity. What could you say about that? And I actually like how she answered this question. She said that she has things that she's gone through in her life, and she'll make it known when something doesn't make her happy.
Right.
She gets into, her family history about how she lost her mom and how her dad, a word her in more ways than physical. And she said that she wants to feel
Was it the
respect.
dad? So I was confused by that.
I thought that it was the dad,
See, it gave me the vibe that it was
because
like,
she also said after the dad passed, I think another family did something.
okay, I did, and so that's why I was confused, because I thought maybe he was just physically being, but I didn't real. I thought maybe it was another family member, and that's why, because as they get towards the end and they talk about, like, giving her a safe space, and they don't
Mhm.
need, she doesn't need to be around that person that obviously triggers her, and whatever.
I think if there was, I think, especially with it being her dad, I think she would have just continued to say physically. I think she would have separated the two, but the fact that she didn't, I was under the impression that he physically and essayed, that the dad did. That's
Okay.
how I understood it. But she said that she wants to feel respected. She wants to feel like her feelings are valid, and said if she does put people in her life, she needs them to understand that. Sensitive or not, Bookie, deal with it or don't.
Okay. So then we see them sit down for family dinner. Jide ask about Britne's task, and she talks about how she shared things with his mother and hopes that she's a little bit more understanding when it comes to her being so sensitive and whatnot. She also says she has no plans, or she lets Miss Veronica know she has no plans to take him away from her. He discusses his task and most important and tells her that she came after God, which she actually is surprised to hear. And the sister, and so the sister's out the loop. So she's like, "What I miss? Why you look like you don't believe him?" And so
Because
she
I
was
don't.
she was like, "Yeah, I need to see it to believe it," basically. And so then they move on. And he actually, I love when he apologizes and says, if I made you feel otherwise, then you know I can take
Mhm.
accountability for that.
Yeah.
So then he lets her know that they did talk about the A word. And her uncle Aaron speaks up and says that he can't speak on something he wasn't aware of. This is when I was like, this is when I started to be like, and I think that's why I couldn't get into tear mode, or like, because it turned into more anger. Like,
Mm.
but he said Britne has never come to him, and Britney said, and she absolutely says she has. And he's like, well, not about that. And so she says she tried to tell people and no one listened and nothing happened. So she
And
didn't feel the need.
she stopped telling people. I said,
Right. Her grandmother at this point, Judy, pipes up and says she may not have known what took place, um, to basically try to make these things stop happening to her. And Britney says, but it didn't stop. And I was like,
she said, all I know is it didn't stop. She's talking about, look, I don't know. You're right. I don't know what took place, but what I know is whatever you did, it didn't make it stop.
okay. And so then we see Jade. He goes and talks to Buki, and talks about their dad. He asks her if she's, interested in having a relationship with him. And she said she just really is interested in having a relationship with her brother. And she doesn't have the energy to give their father. So it makes it sound like he's just deadbeat across the board.
That girl said she don't even want his last name no more. She don't want to be associated with him.
Right. That's what she said. And so she knows Jade's relationship is a little bit different with him because he's met him a few times. But he's also been ditched by him a couple times as well. So, and then we see Britney sharing with Jeremy that she still has some healing to do, and he makes her realize that basically she's worthy and deserving of love, and basically tells her to speak that to herself, speak life into yourself. I was like, okay, Jeremy.
I'll wait.
I loved it. That was cute.
It was cute. So then the couple went to meet with Tracy. She wanted to get some updates. Jade said he finally met his sister. And it didn't take long for them to, get cool and start talking and get deep. Brittany said it was really overwhelming to see Jeremy after all this time. Jade starts talking about how his task starts talking about his task and how he put Britney second. Okay.
Britney.
And she said it's easier said than done. Okay. She said, heard it all before. I said, girl. Okay. So Tracy tells her that, he really loves you. And this makes her emotional. And she said, people see you as sensitive, but I see your grief. And now you're starting to work through it because, you're in a safe space in your life. Brittany says that she doesn't want to hurt her family. And Tracy said, you don't have to protect them anymore. You won't be able to fully heal yourself as long as you're protecting them from the place of an A word child. And you need to break that agreement. It is a toxic agreement.
I
She
love
said,
when she said that. That
yes,
really, I resonated with that. I was like, that is so true. You be so worried about other people's feelings and how it's going to
mhm,
affect them, but you walk around with that trauma.
exactly. She said when she thinks about it now, it's not. so much about what happened. It's the loneliness that she felt. Oh my
Right.
God. She says she wants. Hold on, give me a second.
This
I
is
lost
this is the first and probably last time you'll ever see Chanel ever get teary eyed.
her. She wants them to understand that what she said. She wants to understand that she doesn't want it to hurt. I think she said
Oh
she.
no, she says she understands that she doesn't want it to hurt.
Okay, okay. Well, Tracy said that they should be saying that to you. Okay, they should be saying, "I cannot believe those things happened to you." She told her that there's a righteous anger that she has every right to feel. Jide said, "If you feel like you're gonna lose your family because of this, I'm not going anywhere." I said, "All right, Jide. All right." She said, she wants her to be prepared for this relationship. So she's going to bring in Tila Allen, who specializes in trauma. And she told Jade his task is to sit down with his mom and give her the business, basically. Let her know, listen, this is how it's going to be moving forward.
Right. Okay. So we do see Britney and Uncle, I forgot his name that fast.
Pooh,
Uh,
Uncle Pooh.
well, I think that's what she calls him, but his real name, I had it in the beginning. But the uncle and grandma Jody, they all sit down.
Did you call her
And
Jody?
I thought that was Grandma Jody. Is that not her
I thought it
name?
was Judy. Is it Judy?
Oh, it's Judy. What have I been watching Baby Boy or something? Like I
Right.
don't
When you said Jody, I said, girl.
thank you. It's
I
Judy.
mean,
You
that's
right.
one of
You
my
right.
faves. I ain't even judging.
Oh Lord, bad as Chanel. So uh so yeah, so basically she doesn't want to really talk about it or start off because she's scared of the rejection. She doesn't want them to not believe her or feel bad. Her uncle makes it clear as soon as Dr. Tila Allen introduces herself that he's not
Oh,
into this.
Aaron. His name is Aaron.
Yeah. And she tells him, look, respectfully, that's okay. But this is more for her than it is for you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Brittany opens up about her dad being physically a word, and her uncle says that it was an exaggeration, which is what she
No, he
really.
said no. He said it's not an exaggeration.
Really, I thought he said it was.
No,
I,
he said it's
oh,
not an exaggeration. And I used to go over there to be a buffer.
mm,
I used to go over there to be a buffer to break the tension.
oh, mm.
Yeah, he said it wasn't an exaggeration.
Well, Brittany says she thinks that they have too much pride, um, and can miss how things have affected them. When Dr. Allen asks for Aaron's thoughts, he declines to respond. So Brittany goes into after her father passing away. There was someone she trusted, and there was a lot of grooming and inappropriate touching. And so, she tells her grandmother she did tell her at 14, and she knows she tried to do something, but the effort she put in might have been washed away quicker than she realized. I said, girl. So she said she was in a dark place and contemplated deletion. Okay. And her uncle finally reacts and says he would know. Yeah, that he feels like he would know.
He wish he had known.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said he wish
No,
he had known.
I don't
And her
think that's what.
grandmother said that she only recalls her telling her once.
Well, her grandmother says that she thought she had taken care of it and did all she could besides, destroy the family. So Dr. Allen asked if there's setting with being around her family, she has to be around the predator. And they let her know that absolutely yes, that's a probability. But said that we're gonna fix that situation. So Brittany admits that she thought about talking about it, but felt that it would separate them. Her uncle admits he's happy that her burdens have been lifted, and she talks with her grandmother after. And I thought this was really sweet. Her grandmother shares her own story of
Mm.
a word. I think she even said it was her grandfather, and
Well,
have
she said it was a man old enough to be her grandfather.
oh, and said that she had to leave home at 16. So I
Because she
was
was
like,
tired of fighting. She said used to have to put up a fight, and she left at 16 because she was tired of fighting.
mm, it was sad. It was sad.
Mm. So then Jade got to discuss with his mom his task and said he doesn't want Britne to have any more moments where she doesn't feel like the priority. And his mom basically said, she's okay with it. If I didn't want you to marry, then I'd fight it. Okay. For you not to get married. She said, just don't forget your mama.
Mm.
So then at dinner, Jade explained how the conversation went with his mom, and Britne asked if it was hard for him to have the conversation. He said no. She said she thought him even moving was hard for him. And his mom said, if he didn't want to have a good relationship with you, he wouldn't even be here. He wouldn't even marry you. And she said, well, since you and Jade have been living together, have I come to bother you? I was like, where is this energy coming from?
But she don't like that she losing her son. You can really see that.
It really just, to me, it just came out of left field. And
No, it did. It came out of nowhere, but I think that was built up because she's slowly watching, and even though she wants to be so involved, and this is her one and only child, and she absolutely feels like, in a way, she's losing him. That's been her support. That's why they said you never want to be the mama to treat your son like he's your man.
So Britne was basically like, okay, well, if you want to talk about it, we can talk about the Valentine's Day issue. You came, you made sure you ate, and then when you were finished, you expected me to take your plate. So
I'm
then
not even gonna hold you. By this time, I was irritated. I was so tired of hearing about this
about
Valentine's
this
Day.
damn story, exactly. Uh, for me,
I can see. I'm not saying that her argument wasn't valid,
mm-hmm.
but if that was one instance and it was a cultural clash or difference, like I just expected her or them to give us
But
more.
it sounds like they're both holding on to it, though. It sounds like she's holding on to it because she feels like that was a special time for them, and this mom is holding this against her. And it also sounds like this mom is holding it against her because there's no way you can respect me or respect my culture, and you don't know that you're supposed to pick up my plate, and
Mm.
you almost had my son do it for
But
me.
then that goes back to the all we for those that don't know, if you go check out our 90-day recaps, but then that kind of falls on Jade to kind
I
of
think,
educate her a
but
little
see,
bit.
I think in order to, I mean, who knows? I mean, I would have thought that since they lived together, maybe, they've
She would
had
have
a
watched or seen, yeah.
or she had a situation like that or learned while they were living together. Apparently not. But I would assume that in that situation, maybe he thought it would have came off weird, like, hey, go get my mom's plate. And instead, he was trying to be a buffer and was like, you know what, I'll just get my mom's plate. And, in the future, maybe I'll let her know about it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That this is how it works. But that ain't what happened. Well, anyways, the mom starts getting elevated, talking about, in Nigerian culture, that's the way it's supposed to be. If she respects me, then she would get my plate. Girl, I'm not your maid. I'm like, how are you the maid and it's your plate and you telling her to get it up? Girl, you lost me.
It's I look cultural difference because I said the same thing, and I said you
Girl,
look,
I'm not
you
your
can't
maid.
explain
You
what you don't
telling me to get
understand.
her plate. So Jade
And
took her
can't
outside.
explain what you don't understand.
I just know it don't make sense to me. Okay. Jade took his mom outside, tried to calm her down, and finally the uncle told him, look, just give her some space. Otherwise, y'all gonna keep on embarrass yourselves. Just gone. So in the room, Jade told Britne that they need to go and apologize. She said, as long as you know that I feel like I was wrong tonight, wrong, duh, not wrong, wrong, duh. Okay, not in the wrong, but done wrong. Okay. And she said, I'm taking a back seat and choosing not to fight this battle. He's just like, okay, well, we can't be slow about it. All right. It's
Right.
important to go right up to her, get down on our knees and apologize. So he said in Nigerian culture, in order for his mom to receive them, they both need to humble themselves and, get down in front of her and apologize. So she said she's willing to do it. If that makes her feel like she's respecting the culture more. So that's what they did. They went downstairs and they apologized and she accepted.
Mm.
It looked like reluctantly.
Yeah. So Then we get to see the next morning. Mom is in much better spirits. It's a total 360. They meet with Tracy, and she asks about Britney's experience with the therapist.
It's it's
Uh,
it's it's 180.
don't do that. Same thing.
360 means it brings you all the way back to where you were.
You don't do that.
Opposite is the 180. Just
Don't do that. Don't do that. It's the other fish. Anyway, so Brittany explains that she has, she was worried about her feelings not being validated, but they were. Tracy tells her she still has work to do, but she's in a great place to do it. Jade explains what happened with his mom. He knows there's some pain with the separation of their relationship. And they explain that they did kneel, and Tracy asks how Brittany feels about it. And she explains she did it because she wanted her relationship to work, basically. And so Jade says before they go into the ceremony, regardless of what his family or hers have to say, basically they're moving forward. And so the family does give their full blessing. And then they give us the update where they are in couples counseling, which I thought was great. They're
Mhm.
having a traditional Nigerian wedding as well as an American wedding. And Miss Veronica is doing all the planning, of course. And Brittany has even asked her uncle to walk her down the aisle. So
Mhm.
it was good to have especially it was so heavy. So it was nice to have a good ending and see
It
them
was
have
a lot for me.
breakthroughs.
It was super heavy. I didn't think I was gonna make it, y'all.
Yeah, she was really struggling, y'all. She called me like, "Did you watch this?" I was like, "Yeah, I've been watching it."
Yeah, she's
Uh,
like, I got my notes. I'm like, how are you getting through this? This is sad.
yeah. But anyway, y'all, so drop down in the comments, let us know what you thought about this episode of Family or Fiance. Again, my apologies for not being able to be on camera today, but I feel like poo poo. So anyway, if you guys haven't already, please make sure that you've hit that like button,
And that subscribe button. Oh
uh,
no, comment.
comment, yes, and you guys go and subscribe.
And hit the notification bell.
And make sure you're following us on all the platforms, the TikTok, Blue Sky, Facebook, and the IG, y'all. And we will catch you next week for another Family or Fiance. Have a good night. Bye bye.